Before we dive in, I have to tell you, today isn't any old day. Today, I've got a now.
It is, Emma. It's very different.
No. I wonder.
It was supposed to be just another glittering night in Beverly Hills. A private dinner buzzing with Hollywood elites, soft jazz floating through the air, and glasses of Dom Perignon clinking under the golden glow of candlelight. The kind of night where whispers swirl as much as the music, where every glance and nod carries a hidden message and reputations are quietly weighed. But by the end of the night, Meghan Markle's carefully curated composure would crack like fragile porcelain.
Trying to understand from a business infrastructure point of view, like in the early...
Sitting just a few seats away was the one woman she never imagined would throw shade her way, Emma Grede, the powerhouse co-founder of Skims, the woman who helped catapult the Kardashian empire to stratospheric heights and, according to multiple insiders, had finally had enough of Meghan's antics. What began as polite small talk quickly turned into a masterclass of social evisceration, a subtle battlefield of smiles, nods, and carefully chosen words. Meghan, oh, she did not take it well. Let's rewind a bit. This wasn't just another dinner.
Never in a million years would I understand it as much as I do now.
Being here, right?
Being here. And what has been echoed so...
This was an exclusive, invite-only soiree hosted at the home of a top Hollywood agent, one of those ultra-elite circles where everyone knows everyone's secrets but pretends not to. Meghan had arrived early, all smiles and sparkle, wearing a sleek black gown that screamed, "I belong here." She glided through the crowd like she owned the room, shaking hands with producers, philanthropists, and influencers like lifelong friends. Harry wasn't by her side. This was her solo moment, her chance to remind Los Angeles movers and shakers that Meghan Markle was still the woman to watch. But what she didn't know? Emma was also on the guest list. And not just anyone, one of America's richest self-made women, known for her business acumen, fashion instincts, and uncanny ability to make or break careers in a single conversation. Emma is no lightweight, British-born, business genius, the mind behind Skims and Good American, and a close collaborator of Kris Jenner. In the modern fashion world, she's royalty, not with crowns or titles, but with billion-dollar brands, private jets, and a reputation that demands respect. And that's when the tension hit. Sources close to both women say Meghan once tried to cozy up to Emma years ago, hoping for support on her own brand ventures and even a possible partnership. She reportedly wanted Emma to help her build her empire the way she helped Kim turn Skims into a cultural phenomenon. But Emma, the savvy operator, kept her distance. Known for sniffing out inauthenticity from a mile away, she was never sold on Meghan's vision. Fast forward to this dinner. The air was electric, thick with unspoken tension. Guests noticed it immediately. The moment Meghan spotted Emma across the table, her smile faltered. A flicker of recognition mingled with what looked like resentment. But Meghan, being Meghan, she powered through, launching into her usual PR-friendly charm, speaking about her new projects, her passion for women's empowerment, and her plans to redefine storytelling through purpose. For a while, it seemed like everything might stay civil, the laughter polite, the conversations flowing, but beneath it all, the air was taut with anticipation, as if everyone could sense the storm about to break. Then Emma spoke, and she didn't raise her voice, didn't throw tantrums. Emma is polished, articulate, effortlessly confident, and when she speaks, people listen. She has receipts, results, and experience that command attention. So when Meghan began detailing her unique approach to women's empowerment through brand identity, Emma reportedly gave a polite nod, set her wine glass down, and said calmly, "But clearly, empowerment isn't just a hashtag, Meghan. It's consistency. It's follow-through. You can't sell people a dream if you haven't built anything real." Oof. Awards and Confessions won a gold award, according to someone sitting 2 seats away. The table fell dead silent. You could practically hear forks freezing mid-air, the air buzzing with shock and anticipation. Meghan blinked, completely caught off guard, before attempting a half laugh. "Well, I suppose we all have our own approaches," she said, trying to steer the conversation back to safe territory. But Emma wasn't finished. She leaned in, not rude, but with that surgical precision of someone who thrives in boardrooms, not tantrums. "Approaches are fine," she said, "but if you're telling women you're building something for them, you've got to show up. Not for cameras, for the work." That's when the energy shifted. Meghan's charming smile flickered. Suddenly, Every pair of eyes at the table, from producers to stylists, looked everywhere except at her. It was one of those moments when the social balance tilts, when one person loses the room without realizing it, and Meghan felt it, frozen under the weight of the unspoken judgment. Insiders say she tried to recover, tossing out mentions of her upcoming ventures and vaguely referencing her lifestyle brand. But Emma's words had landed like a dagger. People weren't just nodding politely anymore. They were listening, absorbing, and judging. Meghan had come to this dinner hoping to network her way back into Hollywood's inner circle. Instead, she walked straight into a trap she hadn't even seen coming. One source described the tension as so thick you could slice it with a knife. Meghan's tone turned defensive. She began listing her philanthropic achievements, name-dropping the Invictus Games and her charity projects. But Emma countered, gently yet firmly, "Intentions don't build legacy, execution does." That line was the nail in the coffin. Witnesses say Meghan's eyes welled up, though she tried to disguise it as laughter. One guest claimed Meghan muttered under her breath, "I don't need to prove myself to anyone." But the damage was already done. The vibe at the table had shifted completely. Frosty conversations resumed, but nobody dared bring Meghan back into the spotlight. Emma, meanwhile, carried on effortlessly, chatting with producers, discussing upcoming collaborations, exuding that natural authority Meghan had once tried to emulate. By dessert, Meghan was barely speaking. She fiddled with her napkin, forced a smile, and made an exit far earlier than expected. Paparazzi waiting outside caught her leaving with a stiff grin, but insiders said the moment she got into her car, her entire facade collapsed. She looked furious and embarrassed, her face red, hands shaking. Every sign of someone ready to explode, the humiliation visible to anyone paying attention. And it only got worse. Word of the confrontation spread fast. Within 24 hours, whispers of the dinner showdown were circulating through LA's tight-knit circles. The narrative was clear. Meghan Markle had been put in her place by one of the most respected businesswomen in Hollywood. While Meghan's team tried to spin it as a healthy exchange between strong women, those who were there knew the truth, and the story was already taking on a life of its own. This wasn't a debate, it was a dismantling. Emma exposed what many in Hollywood had quietly whispered for months. Meghan talked about building an empire, but hadn't actually built anything. No successful company, no follow-up podcast, no film deals, just photo ops, PR buzz, and half-formed ideas that never fully materialized. And the worst part, Emma didn't raise her voice. She didn't insult her. She didn't need to. She simply held up a mirror to Meghan, and that was the ultimate humiliation. Because when someone like Emma challenges your credibility, it sticks. Especially in Hollywood, where respect is the real currency. By the end of that night, Meghan's carefully crafted dream of re-entering LA's elite through strategic networking had gone up in smoke. She hadn't walked out a mogul, she'd walked out a meme, and this was just the beginning, because what Meghan didn't know then was that Emma's words would ignite a wildfire that followed her all the way back to Montecito. By the very next morning, the story had already escaped containment. What should have been a whispered, exclusive dinner between Hollywood insiders became full-blown gossip chaos. The private showdown between Meghan Markle and Emma Grede was now burning through every LA brunch table, every PR Slack chat, and every entertainment podcast worth a mic. And Meghan, she was furious. Sources close to the former Duchess described her Montecito home as a pressure cooker, tense and chaotic. Meghan reportedly woke to frantic calls from her publicist, alerting her that Page Six had picked it up. The Hollywood Reporter had whispers about the tense exchange circulating, and even social media was buzzing. The details were fuzzy, who said what, how bad it really was. But it didn't matter, the damage was already done. Inside, sources said Meghan lost it. She was pacing, crying, snapping at her team. One insider revealed she couldn't believe it leaked so fast. She had trusted the people at that table, or at least assumed they were careful. But the problem wasn't just the leak. It was the way people were talking about it. The tone wasn't sympathetic. It wasn't poor Meghan. Nope, it was mockery. The kind of gleeful derision Hollywood thrives on. cold. The narrative painted her as entitled, inauthentic, and completely out of her depth in a room full of actual business titans. Meanwhile, Emma was being hailed as the woman who finally said what everyone else was too polite to utter. To make matters worse, clips of Emma's past interviews, where she discussed authentic leadership and standing firm in your values, went viral on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter, often captioned, "This is the energy she brought to that dinner." Meghan's name wasn't even mentioned, but everyone knew exactly who the subtext was about. Within days, Meghan's PR team went into overdrive, crisis calls, narrative-shaping phone meetings with friendly journalists, strategizing every line, every nuance, trying to spin the story before it hardened into public judgment. But here's the thing about reputation. Once the public smells blood, no amount of spin can scrub it clean. No amount of careful messaging could erase the sting. And this wasn't acting. It was real. Even Meghan's old allies in media seemed to keep their distance. No Vogue puff pieces, no friendly segments with Gayle King, just radio silence, which, in PR terms, is worse than a hit piece. It meant uncertainty, hesitation, judgment. Meanwhile, Emma, she didn't say a word. Not publicly, at least. No comment, no rebuttal, no denial. Just complete, confident silence. And that silence was deafening because it gave Emma an aura of calm, effortless grace, the kind that made Meghan's frantic rebuttals look desperate by comparison. But behind the scenes, Meghan's fury reportedly turned personal. She was said to be calling former acquaintances, trying to sniff out who might have leaked the story. Her staff bore the brunt of her anger. One source described a meltdown of epic proportions. Meghan couldn't accept that someone like Emma had the upper hand. One insider said she felt betrayed, not just by whoever leaked it, but by Hollywood itself. She had thought she could finally reclaim her spot in those elite circles, and now the entire narrative was unraveling. And as the days passed, the story didn't die down. It evolved. Whispers started surfacing about Meghan pitching luxury collaborations that went nowhere, investors quietly pulling out of meetings, and Emma's team politely declining to discuss future partnerships. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. Emma Grede ended Meghan Markle's brand before it even launched, with one dinner and a glass of wine. Brutal. But the online conversation had shifted. What once would have been dismissed as tabloid nonsense was now being dissected by marketing experts, business analysts, and thought leaders. Questions began circulating everywhere. Where's the product? Where's the follow-up to archetypes? Where's the consistency? Everything Emma had implied subtly, but devastatingly, was now being shouted across comment sections, LinkedIn think pieces, and even business podcasts. That's when Meghan reportedly snapped. Multiple insiders say she ordered her team to craft a comeback strategy, a plan to reclaim her narrative, prove her credibility, and reassert control. The plan, a high-profile female founder panel in Beverly Hills where Meghan would speak about entrepreneurship, vision, and perseverance. It was meant to showcase her power, relevance, and respect. But here's the cruel irony. Emma Grede was already scheduled to speak at the same event. You couldn't make this up. As soon as the news hit the media circuit, comparisons began flooding in. Commentators speculated whether Meghan would attend, whether another showdown would erupt, or if she'd quietly back out. It was déjà vu, a repeat wave of scrutiny, another spotlight she couldn't control. Eventually, Meghan quietly pulled out of the event. Officially, it was due to schedule conflicts. Unofficially, she couldn't risk repeating the disaster of that dinner. Meanwhile, Emma was asked about the event during her segment. When an interviewer subtly referenced the infamous dinner, Emma simply smiled, sipped her water, and said, "I don't entertain gossip. I'm too busy working." That single, calm, professional, dismissive sentence reportedly sent Meghan's camp into another panic. Once again, Emma had won the public battle without even breaking a sweat. Back in Montecito, Meghan's inner circle began to fracture. Hollywood friends who once posted selfies and glowing captions suddenly went quiet. Her phone, once buzzing with invites and congratulatory texts, was eerily still. Sources say Harry was caught in the crossfire. He reportedly urged her to let it go, reminding her the tabloids would move on. But Meghan couldn't. At least not this time. Not after being humiliated in the one arena she had fought so hard to enter, Hollywood's power elite. She felt stripped of control. One insider said it wasn't just about Emma. It was about everything: the failed Spotify deal, the Netflix doubts, the fading influence, the whispered skepticism from Hollywood insiders. It all came crashing down at once. By the week's end, the story had shifted from gossip to symbolism. Meghan Markle, the self-proclaimed modern feminist icon, had been dethroned, not by a royal scandal, not by tabloids or rumours, but by a quiet, poised businesswoman who simply told her the truth. And in Hollywood, where truth is often the rarest luxury, that was the ultimate humiliation. While Meghan stormed, strategized, and fretted behind her Montecito gates, Emma just kept doing what she's always done: building, winning, creating opportunities, and walking away unbothered. And that, perhaps, was the final blow. Meghan had tried to build an empire out of image. Emma had built hers out of results. When those two worlds collided, only one survived the night, and it wasn't Meghan. If you found this story shocking, make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What do you think Meghan could have done differently? Would she have survived this Hollywood test?